Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm so excited about my guest today. She's incredible, and she's an amazing story. I just want to tell you right now that I am recording this from the Secret Sauce group, the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. So if you're not there, jump in there now, go to Facebook and type in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating. You're going to get the hot off the press episodes of my show that I record live. You can comment there. We start conversations there. Sometimes I do special trainings and announcements. So definitely join us there. That's like, you're my people. So if you're in there, I'm going to talk to you first, okay? Because that's how it works. Like, I want to talk to people who most need and want this message. If you're here on the show for the first time, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. This is where we talk about all things emotional eating, basically how to overcome that terrible gut to, right? That gut to that drives you to eat when you know better and you've sworn off and you've made New Year's resolutions. What is that terrible magnetic pull to the refrigerator? That's what we talk about. Not about what foods you should eat or what diet you should have. Hogwash, you know that stuff already. You've been studying it for years. This is where we get down and dirty into what it really takes to overcome that magnetic pull. And that's what I'm all about. I was specialized in that for over 30 years now, starting with my own experience of overcoming emotional eating and losing 50 pounds by God's loving grace. So also, if you don't know if you're an emotional eater yet, take the quiz. Go to healyourhunger.com and take the quiz and find out. I have a very specific quiz there that will tell you exactly where you are on the emotional eating spectrum, because I really think everybody's an emotional eater. So go ahead and take the quiz and find out where you are on the spectrum, and then you'll know what steps to take, because I'll tell you what steps to take. So on with the show. I'm so excited to have my guest here, Shelly Southall. Shelly, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for being here. I'm doing great. Let me just brag on you a little bit, okay?
All right.
So Shelly Southall is a right-size living expert with a passion for helping people who are struggling with weight regain or the paralyzing fear of regain after weight loss surgery, okay? She underwent gastric bypass surgery in 2002, losing 101 pounds, and shortly thereafter, fell off, and we're gonna hear about that in a minute. But after more than a decade of struggle with post-surgery regain, she finally figured out how to break free from the chains of obesity once and for all. And today, Shelly helps others achieve right-size living through her program, Bite-Size Changes. And we're gonna hear about that as well. So Shelly, thank you so much. We met recently and it was such a pleasure. We had such a great connection. I'm like, I gotta have you on this show because I know your message is gonna touch so many people.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I am such a fan of your work as well. So you're such an inspiration.
Oh, you're a doll. I'm so glad we connected. It's really, really sweet. And we're not too far from each other in Southern California, so that's super cool. And we're both blondes.
Hey.
God, we got so much going on. So anyway, yeah, it's great to have you here. And you really do have such a compelling story because you're thin and you were not thin, so you've had this massive transformation and not without a whole lot of heartache and struggle, which anybody who struggles with food and weight, they know that heartache and struggle of gaining and losing and gaining and losing. I certainly went through it many, many times as a yo-yo dieter. So tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Okay. Well, my experience with obesity began very young, and I really connect with your message on emotional eating and addictive eating because, I can recollect exhibiting emotional and addictive eating patterns as early as 6 and 7 years old. I was raised in a house where there wasn't a lot of junk food, so I found that after school, if I went to my friends' houses, I'm like, oh my gosh, they had cookies, they had these big tins of chips. But what was different is that they might eat a little bit and I would gorge myself till almost sickness. And I recall one event in particular. I came home from school, the bus dropped me off. I think I was 7 years old, and I walked in my house to silence, which was really unusual because my mom was always there to greet me when I got home. And so I remember being really afraid and really lonely. And the first thing I did was I went to the kitchen, and since we didn't have like a lot of snacky stuff, the only thing I could find was, do you remember that Tang drink mix? It's like one of those sugary, almost like a Kool-Aid or something. I remember sitting down at the table with a spoon in that jar and just eating the sugar by the spoonfuls. So it's no wonder by the time that I hit third grade, I was put on my first physician-directed diet.
Wow,
And
third grade.
Third grade. And so I lost the weight, but quickly gained it right back. And that began my pattern of yo-yo dieting. And what's really interesting is I think starting the yo-yo dieting at such a young age, I received the message of, this is bad, you shouldn't be eating these foods, you're not allowed. So it started behaviors of hoarding and hiding food too.
Done that.
So anyway, I mean, I did everything. In fifth grade, I did like a nutrition group for kids called Fat Fighters.
It just breaks my heart. You know, it's such a young age. We should be out playing, playing on the swing set, not like focusing on our weight. It's so terrible, but I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. And it just kept going too. I did like a keto program. That was like in 81 before most people had ever heard of keto. I spent summers at Weight Watchers camps, a couple summers. I did a hospital program. It was outpatient, but like with a psychologist, a nutritionist, and a trainer. All the big name diets, all the fad diets. I tried starvation. I tried pills. And all of a sudden, I found myself in my early 30s, more than 100 pounds overweight. And Tricia, I was really at a point where I had kind of given up on life. My life consisted of going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. I had such a heavy burden of shame that I basically hid from the world. I started distancing myself from friends. And they say that a lot of changes and transformations start with a trigger. And my trigger was I came home from work one day and there was a hand-addressed envelope in my mail. And I opened it up, and it was someone had torn out an ad from a magazine for a diet pill, and there was a handwritten post-it on it that said, "Shelly, you need to check this out." And I was absolutely devastated. I think I cried for 3 days. And I remember thinking, I see myself in the mirror every day. I don't need you.
Yeah. That's so typical, isn't it? People think they're helping, but it's like, don't tell me something I don't please, don't tell me something I already know.
Exactly. And I know now that it was actually a marketing advertisement, but
yeah,
at the time it was brand new. So I didn't know. And it was a trigger. And that's when I decided to get the gastric bypass surgery, which was 17 years ago, 2002. And I lost 101 pounds in 6 months. I thought I had found the magic solution, the magic pill we all dream of. Life was great. And I'm not kidding you, not even 90 days later, I was already experiencing regain because the bad habits started to creep in. I had changed my anatomy, but not what's up here.
Completely.
Yeah. And so then the next trigger was, I struggled with regain. I gained more than half the weight back, about 50 pounds. And after more than a decade of struggling with regain, my next trigger was my age. It was before my 48th birthday. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, once you start getting near 50, I'm over 50 now, but you start thinking, I'm probably more than halfway to the finish line. Is this how I want to end up? I'm like, I've either got to learn to accept myself or figure it out for once and for all.
I have to just interrupt you. I'm telling you, the 50, I've talked to more women who are around 50, 53, 54, 55, 52, 49. 50 is such a pivotal time. Like my whole life has changed on account of turning 50. Like it gets you refocusing on what you really want and how are you going to spend the next 50 years? Like you get serious and you get really purposeful when you turn 50. It's like a crazy thing.
It's a magic age. And I remember, when I was younger, dreading it. And when I actually turned 50, I'm like, this is cool. I'm like happy with where I'm at when at 50.
Yeah, because you get real serious about making your life mean something.
You really do. So that's when I decided to make a change, but I knew I couldn't keep repeating what I'd been doing because it kept failing. So I decided to try something new, and I'm like, just today, I'm just gonna just do one little change. So that's what it started with, was one, I call them bite-sized changes, one bite-sized change, and then it led to another change, another change. So it was slowly transforming my habits. And it was magical. It changed my life.
And so through that, you were able to lose the weight.
Yes.
Wow.
And it was slow. When you just make one little habit change at first, it's really slow. In fact, I don't know if I lost anything at first, but when they start stacking up, you gain momentum.
Well, and that's such an important message, because we're so in that quick fix mentality, even though we've been trying for quick fixes for decades. Like, hello, do we see irony there?
Exactly. I like to call it red carpet ready. We all want to be red carpet ready overnight, like boom. And
yeah, that doesn't happen.
No, there is no instant gratification when it comes to your health and well-being.
No, and especially if you want to be able to sustain it. And I love the idea of the bite-sized changes, because those are sustainable changes. And that's what I teach in my program as well. It's like one foot in front of the other. I mean, thank God there are very specific things you can do to overcome emotional eating, but it is not a quick fix. These are ways that you're changing your life, and that's directly going to affect your eating. But just doing the quick fix, the diets, whatever new diet comes down the pike, that is never going to get you where you want to go. So this is such an important message.
Yeah, because that's what's wrong with diets. They try to get you to change everything, like flip a switch on day one, and it's like instant overwhelm. Sometimes we can white knuckle it and hang on for a while, but at some point, when you try to take it all on at once, especially for us emotional eaters, you're obsessing over, when I lose 10 pounds, I'll have that brownie. And you obsess over it so much that when you do have it, it's like the floodgates open. And diets are just a bad path.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, what was the first bite-sized change you made?
The first bite-sized change I made, and people that have had weight loss surgery will probably be horrified at what it was, but it was to stop drinking diet soda. And that's because you're not supposed to drink carbonated drinks after surgery. But, after I had stopped drinking carbonated beverages for many years after surgery, but then somehow the habit creeped back in. And that was the first change I made. And it was huge for me, because I had to change a lot of things to make that stick. One, the obvious is getting it out of the house, but I also had to stop going to the gas station I went to regularly, because they had Diet Dr. Pepper, which was my favorite. So, little things like that you had to tweak. But yeah, that was my first change. And
how did obviously the diet soda physically was not good for you, but obviously you were emotionally dependent on it. So how did that go down?
Well, it was hard at first, because, you start off the day like, I'm not going to have it. And then by noon, you're like, oh, but it sounds so good. I mean, right. These things we love, they're comforting in some way. And, but so the first couple of days was white knuckling through it. And also it was finding something else I liked. I love unsweetened iced tea, especially there's a flavor I love it, coffee bean and tea leaf. So I found something that wasn't a bad choice, that, I could still feel like I'm having a treat and have something, have my water, but have something else that was satisfying.
Okay. And did you notice that you had more feelings come up? Because my experience with addictive habits is they're covering up emotions. And anytime I've been addicted to something, really dependent on it, and I let it go, I feel more a little more irritable, or a little more, tired if it's a physical addiction like caffeine or something. But definitely there's like a bigger experience of life and emotions, because that's what the addiction was covering up. Did you notice anything like that?
I would say if I look at the process as a whole, definitely. I don't know that when I first started, if I had that level of awareness, but this journey has made me very aware.
Sure.
It's helped me learn to pay attention to what's going through my head.
Because you have to, right?
What's that?
You have to. Like, that's part of the healing, isn't it? So
it really is.
Let's talk about your bite-sized changes, because you have 7 of them.
Well, it's a 7-step process.
Okay.
And I'll give you the mile high version, because I'll tell you, I could probably spend an hour on each.
Yeah. In the interest of time, we're just going to get the bird's eye view. So that's great. And if people want to learn more, of course, they can connect with you.
Yeah. So the first step is just committing. And by committing, that means, a lot of us carry around so much shame from our past dieting failures. You've got to let that go, and you've got to be okay with that, because you've got to be all in. And if you don't let go of those fears in the back of your head, you might be thinking already, oh, I'm going to fail. So you got to commit, you got to be all in. And then the second step is assess. And for a lot of us, this can be the hardest part of the entire 7 steps, because assessing means basically putting our life under the microscope and, being very honest with where we're at. And I think this is true for a lot of people. I know it's true for me, but I had so much shame tied to my life of obesity that I lied to other people and I lied to myself, because I didn't want to take responsibility. I wanted to put the blame on other things. So assessing is about taking an honest look, and more than that too, just knowing where you're at and getting the awareness of where you're at. And in doing so in a way that you're not judging yourself. You're looking at it. It's just data. It's just data. And then step number 3 is target. And this is basically the big brainstorm or download where you're just like writing down what is every little habit that is getting in the way of you and right-size living. And then looking at all of those things, and it's just free flow. And then prioritizing, okay, well, what are these things that I want to target? So it's all about targeting. Step number 3, target. Understanding what's getting in your way and prioritizing and targeting. And then step number 4 is plan. And that's
Can I stop you on targeting?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of some things?
Oh, sure. Like when I did my brainstorm, it was writing down everything that got in my way. So obviously, the diet soda. One was lack of awareness. So I realized I need to get better awareness. So maybe I should weigh myself more frequently. It can be negative relationships that are getting in the way. Like maybe someone's talking to you in a certain way, and it's a trigger. So you could be writing down, this triggers me to eat, or habits. It could be places you go that you eat certain things, or exhibit
things that kind of send you down the rabbit hole, basically.
Yes.
Got it.
Anything. And it could be all of the things that all of the foods that are trouble for you. Like pizza was one of my trouble foods. I broke up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. There are foods out there that just are not safe.
Yeah, that's right. And so then step number 4 is planning, because it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to target this one habit, but what does that entail? Do you have to schedule things? Like if your habit changes to start doing a walk, do you have to schedule it? Do you need to get certain things in your house or out of your house? Do you need to make changes to your environment? Do you need to maybe not hang around certain people so much? So it's really thinking it through and planning. Step 5 is actually making the change. This is where the rubber meets the road, actually executing, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then step 6 is tracking. And the reason this is so important is tracking also involves recording what emotions and feelings you're going through as you're experiencing this habit change. But it's also so important, the tracking, because if you're not doing this, you're not aware of, okay, this is starting to feel natural. I'm at a point where it's safe to add in the next habit change. And then, but before you go on to adding that next habit change in, number 7, you have to do first, which is celebrate, because you need to acknowledge the significance of what you're doing.
Absolutely, which emotional eaters are so bad at. I'm telling you, it's like, I mean, I have these coaching calls and these group calls, and I insist that we focus on what's going right, because people will spend like 10 minutes telling me all the things they're doing wrong. I'm like, no, you're completely overlooking the things they're doing right, because that's what we do. We diminish our wins, right? We just completely overlook them because we're so focused on, dissing ourselves because we're not perfect.
Absolutely. And I've gotten into the habit that I do what I call my little woohoos in my head, like mentally, or if no one's watching, I might get home and do a happy dance. But, it can be like the little mental woohoos because, woohoo, I passed up all the candy bars at the checkout. Or, anytime you're successfully executing on your new lifestyle changes, I mean, give yourself credit. It's a big deal.
Amen. That's so important, and it is not something we do naturally. And I just love that that's an important step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are awesome, my friend. That's so neat. So you've been living in a thin body after being morbidly obese, and having relapsed essentially, and then found your way back to that small size in a natural way. Weight loss surgery is artificial. Like we're hacking, like it's a hack, which is why it's seductive, right?
Yes.
It's like, let's hack this weight conundrum by surgery. And that's why, I'll talk to people who, pre-surgery are like, they're looking for solutions, but they've already had the interview. They've already gotten the idea in their head that they're going to have surgery. You cannot talk them out of it. Like it is like, it's like once people like us get that idea that there's a quick fix or a hack, it's like we cannot be convinced otherwise. And it breaks my heart, because I know there's another way.
Yeah.
But the fact is that you came to a place of you have natural weight loss because you learned how to make those important changes in your life that are sustainable, right? And can really get to the place of a healthy weight. And I just love that you're teaching other people that. So those are completely awesome. How's your life different now that you're like at a naturally thin weight?
Well, it's hugely different because, even after the surgery and in the years I struggled with my regain after surgery, I really had a very low sense of self-worth. Like I didn't think I was worthy. And to this day, I don't know where that stems from, but
everybody has it. I had it too. It's like, I think we start there and then the weight follows that, but then the weight of course doesn't help. And we go further down on that scale of low self-esteem, because there's nothing in this society, there's nothing worse than being fat. Like we're so ostracized and it's so uncomfortable. And it totally eats our any self-esteem we might have. It's so hard to have self-esteem when you're just, other people are sneering at us. And then of course, what we do to ourselves.
Absolutely. And, just going through this journey helped me build my self-esteem. It's like, hey, I've got a lot of things to give this world. It improved my confidence a lot. And I think too, it also really made me connect with myself emotionally in a way that I have so much more compassion and empathy for other people that are struggling with being overweight or with obesity, wherever they are. And I really think that that's enabled me to better help people.
And I
do want to say
say, sweetheart, you're such a dear person. That's why I love talking to you and wanting to be on the show, because you're just, I think emotional eaters, I say emotional eaters, I talk about people, people who struggle with food and weight. And I just think when we've struggled with that kind of ostracism and that kind of pain and powerlessness, I think it creates just a softness and a compassion, and it's written all over you. You're such an angel.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I should say too, I don't regret having weight loss surgery. I mean, if I had known what I know now, would I do it? I don't know. I mean, it was an important part, I think, in my journey. Yeah. And I dread to know what would have happened if I hadn't have had it. And it's been a powerful tool now that I have the mindset component to go along with it. But, different things are right for different people, but no matter what path you take, the emotional element is critical. And I don't think you can get to success without it.
No question. Amen. No question. Yeah. You just can't, because it's really the way we got, the way we got the weight on is really from denying that part of us.
Yeah.
Our emotional selves. And so in order to have success with weight loss, we have to be connected emotionally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. It sounds like these, the things you've learned have been so powerful. And I'm so glad you're helping women who have had weight loss surgery. Like, you're such an inspiration.
Yeah. And one thing I really find too, a lot of us that struggle with our weight, we put off our dreams, because it's always like, oh, well, I really want to do this, or I really want this, but I've got to wait till I lose 20 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds. And in some ways it almost becomes an excuse. Maybe we're afraid of pursuing our dreams, but no matter what emotion is behind that, so many of us put off our dreams. And one message I would want to share with anyone, no matter where they are, it's like, even if you haven't healed your hunger yet, do not put off your dreams, because you are worthy, and you are worthy of going after them and achieving them now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. And I love that you're doing that now. It's so beautiful, and I think it's such an important message. And I certainly, again, that 50 mark, boy, that just got me really, really, I didn't realize it was going to happen. I dreaded turning 50. I was like, this is not like, this is God. Can we talk about this? Like, this is not, I don't look 50. I don't want to be 50. Like, can we just put a time out on this? Of course.
Yeah, or have a do-over.
Yeah. But I didn't realize it would just somehow just energetically motivate me to really make changes in my life. And I have made really important changes in my life. Again, it wasn't a conscious thing. It just sort of unfolded that I started really getting real clear on what I wanted, and my life just started taking a new turn. So, I'm grateful for that. But I totally agree with you. Like, we do put off when we're struggling with our weight. We just, we so don't want to be that weight. So there's this element of denial, right? Like, this isn't happening, and I'm not going to stay here. That's why we have 5 different sizes of pants in our closet, right? Because we're like, no, the thin pants are the ones I'm going to wear, you know? But meanwhile, we are putting off living because we're at that higher size. And, living is what we need to do in order to become more self-aware and to realize who we are. The more action we take, the more we learn about ourselves,
Absolutely. And I think too, when we're not in our right size bodies, we spend so much time in our day that could be directed towards more positive things. We spend it all obsessing about, oh my gosh, I look like this, I don't feel happy about myself. And it's like constantly running through your head, all this bad stuff. And it's like, not being right size just sucks so much energy and life out of you. And, I kind of refer to it as breaking free from obesity, because it is like a prison in so many ways. And I want everyone to be free so that they can live their best lives.
Amen. Amen. Well, you're doing it and you're showing others how to do it. And I just love that. And I just adore you. And I'm so grateful that we're connected. And tell people your website.
Okay. My website is WLS Delight. And for those of you that don't know, an easier way to remember, WLS is the acronym for weight loss surgery, and then Delight. So WLSDelight.com. And you can also find me on YouTube under WLS Delight as well.
Beautiful. Well, you do great videos, and I just love your videos. So everybody definitely check her out. And thank you for your amazing journey that you have been on. I know it is not an easy one, and yet I agree with you. Like my path, was one. I mean, I didn't obviously have weight loss surgery, but having been obese, my path has been my greatest teacher. My absolute greatest teacher, and I wouldn't do it differently because it's made me who I am today,
I agree with you 100%. I mean, it was definitely a lot of pain in that journey, but it makes us who we are. We wouldn't have blossomed the way we have if we hadn't been through those struggles.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, Shelly, and that is, what is your deepest hunger?
Oh, my deepest hunger. My deepest hunger is I want to make a difference in the world. And that was one of the things that inspired me for change too, because when, as I was talking about the approaching 50 and, this is where I'm at in my life, I'm living in this prison of obesity. I didn't feel like I was sharing my gifts with the world or contributing in positive ways. And I was like, I want to make a difference. I mean, I would like to actually be able to make a positive difference in someone's life, even if it's just one person. So I think now that I've come through this journey on the other side, and it's not over yet, I'm still, improving every day.
Day at a time, right?
Yes, I will always be a work in progress till my dying breath. But it's like now I am in a place where I can maybe make someone's life a little bit different. I can make a difference. And so.
You're doing it, girl. You're doing it. Yeah, that is a beautiful goal to have. And you really are just such a lovely person. And I'm just so grateful to know you. And now more people will know you. So thank you so much for being on the show. And thanks everybody for being here. You can always get Shelly's information in the show notes as well. So Shelly, thanks so much. Great to have you, and many blessings to you.
Likewise, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you on the next show.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.